Hey everybody. So, this week for our Steam game review, we're going to talk about a game that I have known about for quite some time, but have not reviewed at all until now. And this is one of the games that the Russians purchased for me back in the day. We're talking about Dustoff Heli Rescue. Now, as with all the other games that the Russians were so kind enough to purchase for me, we know that they were auto-achieving most of them, and so this one probably has a great auto-achiever potential. I don't care about that. What I care about is, what is this game and how fun is it? Those are my concerns, always. And the short answer to what is this game is it's Choplifter. Choplifter is a game that's been around since forever. And obviously this is basically just Choplifter, right? And because this game is Choplifter, should be very simple and straightforward, right? Well, maybe not as much. So Choplifter came out in 1982, and its controls were dead simple. Basically, you point your helicopter in the direction you want to go. You land when you see guys waving at you, because that means they're friendlies and they are there for you to pick them up. And then once you've got the friendlies, as many as you can take, you haul them back to base, you drop them off, and you get points for the guys that you rescued. And then as the game progresses, you get more and more enemies, and they shoot at you and try to shoot you down, but of course you can shoot back. Well, Dustoff Heli Rescue has all of those basic things as well. There is not one thing that Choplifter has that Dustoff Heli Rescue does not have. So the question, of course, is what sets this game apart? What makes it, something more than just a Choplifter clone? Because I have, pretty sure I have Choplifter for no less than, or no fewer than 3 vintage consoles, maybe 4. Because I might have a version of it on the Vectrex. No, that's a different game that I'm thinking of. Yeah, I know that I have it on 2 different Atari consoles and on the Intellivision as well. So if I really want to play this game, if I really want to play Choplifter, I do have my options. And the 8-bit Atari version is really nice, plays really well, it's super fun. I've put a reasonable number of hours into it over the years. And so the question as to what Dustoff Heli Rescue brings to the table that other games might lack, well, that's, there are a few things that I could tell you. Number one is that there are unlockables. There are 3 different types of helicopters. I played this long enough to unlock the second type, because you start off first with, I forget what they call it. It's a Cayuse. And then you get a Huey, which is the original Dustoff, by the way. What they called them in Vietnam. And so, the funny thing is that in Vietnam, most of the time when a Dustoff got called in, it's because somebody had died or, somebody had been wounded, and then you call in the Dustoff. Yeah, that's usually how that goes. But not so much here. They don't seem like you're certainly not picking up any dead, and they don't seem wounded, but some of them are legitimately within the barbed wire prison camps, so there is that. So yeah, you are going to have to make your way into some tight spaces to pick up some comrades of yours, some of whom are in greater peril than others, some of whom just seem like they're kicking it, and others of whom are definitely not. So that makes it interesting. That's the first thing, is that, like, you know, it's not all the same sort of, you know, 2D flat ground, because you've got the voxel graphics. You know, everybody like, all the reviews are like, it's like Choplifter but Minecraft. No, I mean, I understand why people would say that, but it's also kind of like, nah, not quite, but sort of. Okay, fine. If that works for you as a description, sure, we'll go with that. It's a whatever. But anyway, like, I found out a few times that if you land on uneven ground, you're going to have a rough time taking back off. One of the things that I saw, the controls for this game are incredibly simple. The original Choplifter, you're playing with a joystick, you know, the old school Atari joystick. So we're talking, you know, 4 directional controls and a single button. So that's all you needed, that's all you got. And for this game, it's kind of the same deal, except for you don't even get to use all 4 directional controls. Because in the original Choplifter, you know, up and down on your joystick moved the chopper up and down, and right and left moved it right and left. And then the fire button was your gun, and that was it. Well, for this one, your mouse is how you aim the gun, your left mouse is how you shoot it, and the way the original controls are set up, it's like a game from the 90s in that it uses arrow keys. I don't know what we were thinking with our hands that close together back in the day, because that's how we gamed. And for a long time, when games switched to WASD, I would still put it back to arrow keys. You know, I bet if you're left-handed, it works out much better with arrow keys rather than WASD, but like, oh, whatever. For the vast majority of us who are right-handed, it's a terrible idea. And so the controls are arrow keys on this, but you can easily change them. It's, you know, the menu is very simple. There aren't many things in it. And one of the things that you can do in the menu is change it from left and right as your primary controls to A and D, which is what I suggest going with. Now, how to control this mamma jamma, because you don't have an up and down. You're not using W and S at all. You're not using the up arrow and down arrow. You get lift by pressing both keys at the same time, and you change the direction of the helicopter by pressing one of the directional keys, either left or right. And eventually there's a lot of threading the needle. You know, the level that I was on when I started recording footage has a cave in it, which is a new thing for me for a Choplifter game, because, you know, helicopters and caves, that's for things like Cobra Command, and what's that really good one? There's a really good one for the 8-bit Atari, Fort Apocalypse. Yeah, Fort Apocalypse, flying your helicopter through caves. Just a good time. So yeah, like, those are the things that I think of when I think of flying helicopters through caves. It's either all helicopters through caves or all helicopters over to pick up your buddies. no, there's some like actually interesting level design in this. And the funny thing is that most of the complaints I see in the comment section on Steam are people complaining that, like, arrow keys, come on. And it's like, just remap them, dude. Just remap. It's not hard. They have the option, There are people who say I would prefer a joystick. I would prefer using a controller. Yeah, that does make sense, but it also kind of negates what the game is trying to do, because there's a certain level of quapitude, which is an absolutely real word in the English language. Quapitude. Yeah. No, if you've played Quap, you understand that, like, now, don't get me wrong, Dustoff Heli Rescue is nowhere near as difficult as Quap. But like that thing where you are, using strategic key presses to get directional movement, and the right kind of directional movement at the right angle to be able to help yourself propel forward in the way that you want. That's what we're talking about. That's where the quapitude comes in. That's where it's very much like Quap. And so that is a new element to have to deal with in a choplifter game, because yes, I will freely admit that the old school choplifter, the helicopter, was much easier to move around. And with this one, you are kind of, there are times where you are fighting the physics, and that bothered some people. It doesn't bother me because I can see that, like, it's when did this come out? 2015. You're coming out with a new choplifter in 2015. The original came out in 1982. It's a long time that has passed between the original granddaddy and the great-great-great-great-grandchild of the game. And so you have to bring something to the table. If you just made straight-up choplifter in 2015, I bet some people would like it, but they would also say exactly what I would say, which is like, why don't I just play this on my Atari? Because the version that I grew up with that I like the most is just on the Atari. So I don't want to say fighting the controls, but like tactfully using the controls. Because it's not so much that the controls are a mystery, it's that you have to use them tactfully and resourcefully so that you can get from point A to point B. And that's fine. That's a good thing. I have no problem with that whatsoever as an approach. Your unlockables, you have 3 different kinds of helicopter, and you have a variety of weapons to go with those as well. And I found the 2 weapons that I unlocked during my gameplay to be kind of frustratingly not super great, to where you spend a fair bit of time shooting at things, and then there were some levels where I'm like, I got that guy almost dead, and now I have to fly all the way back to base to heal myself so that I can come back and finish him off. But like, it's a whatever, This is just simply a part of playing the game. And depending on how quickly you finish, you get medals. And so if you're the sort of person who really cares about getting gold medals on every single level, which I'm many things as a gamer, but I am not a speedrunner, so I don't even pretend like I'm going to play it at any sort of great speed. So yeah, you'll see me finish a level and then just be like, no medal, bronze medal, who cares? Like, it's all the same to me. So I don't worry as much about getting through it quickly, but if that's something that matters to you, that adds to the replayability and it makes it more interesting and fun, go for it. Try to pick up the dudes as quickly as you can and try and, navigate the terrain as quickly as you can. Learning where the enemies are and figuring out where how the level is built is an important part of the game. And you'll see me take some stupid deaths that I really probably shouldn't have taken. But eventually it leads to me being much more knowledgeable about the terrain and about the level, about the enemy locations, about the locations of my dudes, and leads to me overall being successful in the level. Ultimately, yeah. You'll see me make some really dumb mistakes. I swear it's one of those situations where I was better at playing the game until I was like, all right, let's record footage. And then all of a sudden I'm like crashing and burning in some of the stupidest ways. Yeah, so that's, you kind of take that with the game as a thing that's going to happen from time to time. Like, there was one time where I was just taking off, and I guess I was holding one key down more than the other, and the helicopter just kind of went sideways on me, and I crashed. I was like, well, that was less than ideal, but we'll figure out how to do this better next time. And indeed, I did figure out how to do it better the next time. So it's all part of a process. And if you take it that way, then it's fine. There are 25 levels in the game, and they get increasingly complicated. And you start getting things like, weather patterns that affect your ability to fly and whatnot. There are some people who really, really hate some of the obstacles and some of the hazards that the level designers throw at you. I don't care. That's part of the fun, is how I see it. You're going to get hit with some things, and then you got to figure out how to recover and how to do better the next time. It's not the most simple version of choplifter, but then again, choplifter itself gets much more difficult over time. Go and play a round of choplifter. Your first couple of sorties, which I believe they call them sorties in choplifter. Might be wrong. But your first couple of sorties are going to go very quickly and without much incident, if there is any incident whatsoever. And then your next time out, you are absolutely going to get shot down by a tank. And then the next time, you're going to know where that tank is, and you're going to be prepared. And then the next time after that, you're going to get shot down by a jet. And it's going to take you a couple of tries to figure out how to successfully evade that jet, because he's much faster than you, and he has missiles, So even in the original choplifter, there are some hazards where it's going to take you a little bit of time with the levels to figure out how to best proceed. And that's certainly the case here with Dustoff Heli Rescue. Anyway, I don't want to belabor the point. I will just say that there is more variety in this game than I thought there would be, and there is more replayability in this game than I thought there would be. Is it perfect? No, it's not. Is it the most fun I've ever had? No, it's not. But is it a really fun and interesting take on a classic formula? Yes, and I love that kind of stuff. I love somebody doing something new with something old. Let's put a final score on it. So for the final score here, final score Dustoff Heli Rescue, it is a 7.5 out of a possible 10 Fort Apocalypse choppers. I thought I might go even higher on the score, but nah. This game is good but not great. Fun but not the most incredible thing you've ever seen in your life. I've had it in my library for a long time, and it's been a while since I played it, so that's probably the indication. Like, you won't regret owning it, but it might not be your most favorite game. And I think, 7.5 out of 10 is the right score to reflect, like, no, it's good enough. You won't regret having it, but, you might not be playing it every day after the initial fun of getting it. So, it's one of those. You can pick it up, put it down. It's not a, like, serious commitment to get through the game. At least that's how I approach it. Anyway, that's going to do it for this one. I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.